Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to the stream. Been a while. Been like, I think 2 weeks. Because, yeah, last week I was a bit sick. I did get a lot of work done on Flarefall in the meantime though. So yeah, it's been a week. It's been a week. Let me just show you what I mean. So here's the website. This is the local version, so it has a couple changes that you guys don't have right now on the website itself. The first big change is this new page, which I am going to add to the actual navbar eventually. I just haven't gotten to it yet. This thing is basically the Gadget editor for Playerful, so you can choose a different frame. You can see the effects of that frame at the bottom, and then you can just grab some elements and then put them here. And then if it doesn't... Oh god, it doesn't work on Firefox. Oh no. Okay, so that's a bug I did not see coming. Well, we'll see how annoying this is. Firefox, why do you do things differently from every other browser every single time? Well, too bad. I'll fix this later. This is not a code stream. I got the feeling that you guys are getting a bit sick of the code stream, so this is going to be a game design stream. Because the idea for today is basically I want to use this thing to create a bunch of encounter descriptions. Basically just create a bunch of gadgets and then list them so the GM can actually throw those gadgets at their players and the players can figure out a way to get past them. So I've already got one example of what I mean. So as you can see here, I'm gonna zoom a bit and then move myself to the other side just so it's easier to see. Zoom a bit, I said. There we go. So right now there's not really a structure, right? Right now this is kind of a first draft kind of thing. But you can see I can include gadgets within the rules. I can click on the gadget to see its details. This is not great yet, as you can see, like if there's a tooltip at the top of the page, it kind of overflows past the screen. So there's a bunch of stuff I'm going to have to figure out in terms of UI, but that's for later. Oh, also there's a cool feature. I'm gonna need to pull Firefox out of the stream just so I can log in real quick. Because if you really want to... Oh god, I can't even log in properly today. Maybe with Google? Yeah, that's working fine. Okay. So if I go back to the rules, to the encounter examples, if now that I'm logged in, if I click on this thing, I can also add it to the party loot of a campaign that I'm the GM of. So that's pretty cool. That's basically just most of the UI being figured out. If you're a character as well, you can modify those gadgets later. And yeah, that's kind of the idea for today. I have done a bit of research, basically just trying to figure out what is a good format for presenting encounters to GMs. Because as I might have mentioned in other streams, I've mostly ever run homebrew scenarios, right? I have a couple adventure books, but I mostly use them to like steal NPCs and individual magic items or stuff like this. So I don't really run encounters out of books myself. So I've gotten a bunch of different books just to see how they do it. So like for example, this is one book that I have had for years, which is Encounters in Avernus, by a bunch of cool people. Empty Black, James Hake, etc. They kind of use the Wizards of the Coast format for encounters, which is basically just throw 200 words of text and then it's kind of a free-for-all, right? You don't really have a structure here. It's more, let's get as much information as possible across in 200 words. So that's definitely an approach I could use, but I have a very math-brained mind, which means I'm not comfortable with this lack of structure. I like a bit of structure. Then there's this thing, which you might have seen if you follow Deficient Master on YouTube, good friend of the channel. It's called Quarter Shots. It has a bit more structure, right? The idea of Quarter Shots is basically present one encounter or one shot in a single page or a single spread. And they generally have like a lot of structure with the job offer, the carriage, and each one of them has these symbols where it's this arrow. I think it means you tell the players immediately, and then the magnifying glass means you only tell your players if they investigate this particular bit. So the idea of using symbols. Oh, there's also these question marks. I don't remember what these do. But yeah, the idea of having this kind of language to communicate information really quickly is really cool to me. I think there's something here. And it's not just because I like bullet points, I swear. Hello, Prof. Welcome to the stream. We're doing encounters today. So yeah, this thing is really cool. There's also this article, which has been really formative in my own GMing. It's by someone called the Angry GM, who I think is not writing stuff anymore. But they used to be pretty big, like just before 5e started. And the one article that really got them popular is this thing, which I will not be able to read on stream, just because, yeah, it's definitely a character. It's definitely someone who doesn't care about monetization. But one thing that they introduced, at least to me, they're definitely not the ones who came up with it, but they're the ones who popularized it, is this notion of a dramatic question, right? The idea is when you build a scene, this scene should ask a question, and the player's job is to find a satisfactory answer to that question. That question could just be, for example, if it's a monster and it's just a regular boring battle with no story to it, it's just, can the player survive? If every single encounter has that exact same question, you're probably gonna get bored eventually, but that's a good dramatic question to have once in a while, you know? But you can also vary it up. You can have it be questions like, who will the players side with? Can they... I think they have some examples here. It's been a while since I read it. But yeah, like, can they save the hostages? How long will they take to get past this door, which is usually twice as long as whatever you expected them to? So that's a really cool approach, and I think it might have been what inspired this next source of inspiration, which I really like. So Dan Felder, he's a game designer who I think is working for Riot Games right now. Worked on Hearthstone and a bunch of other stuff. But he's also really into RPGs. I think he's even making his own system these days. And he had a blog which he hasn't updated in a couple of years, but this blog is really cool. At least if you're a game design nerd like me, where he gives this formula which I really like, because again, math brain DM right here. I need formulas and I need checklists to function, otherwise my brain just stops like I have analysis paralysis basically. So yeah, his formula is in 3 steps, and the steps are basically 1, a hook, so a reason for the players to care basically. Step 2, a choice, because, and this is important, I don't think you need me to tell you, but yeah, tabletop RPGs are about choice. And step 3, the results, because if the encounter has no result besides just wasting everyone's time, it's probably not an encounter worth running. So that's a really cool little template right here, which I think, like, if you assimilate this, you're probably just gonna run good encounters in general. Like it's just a really cool little framework to keep in mind. So as you can see, I have not followed this. I have not settled on a structure for this yet, but I think it's going to be a mix of all of these, right? The just wall of text type of encounter, using these symbols to maybe help get the information across really quickly, and then this this template where the choice is basically this dramatic question that the angry GM talked about. It's just a different wording for it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with this, is I want to figure out a way to present this in a way that will be useful to people, basically. Meaningful results is very important. If you can't think of something interesting to happen for failure and success, you should not use it. Yeah, exactly. That's actually a rule of this game, I think. If I go to skills, I have an entire page dedicated to how to design skill checks, and yeah, this is definitely a thing. Yeah, it's this part, coming up with possible outcomes. If the plot twister can't come up with at least 2 narratively distinct outcomes, they should skip the roll altogether. That's just written black on white. If you don't do this, you're having fun wrong, I guess. That's the message. I mean, if you're having fun, you're probably not having fun wrong, but I'm trying to help people have fun. So yeah, let's try to rewrite this first example using a similar template to this. I don't think I'm going to be able to provide a hook. These are more supposed to be things that you drop into an encounter if you already have a hook for that encounter, I suppose. So there's going to be an encounter design, not chapter, but like section in this. Is just a to-do right now, so I'm going to get to it later. And the meaningful results, I think we can actually handle here. Like, let's take this as an example. This is the Gadget security system, so it's composed of 3 gadgets. The first one is this thing. It's kind of the guard station, so you can picture some guard with a chair in front of this, probably bored out of their mind. And basically they have this screen and a cable which links to the other 2 gadgets. So the first gadget just has a camera and a cable, and the second gadget has a loudspeaker and a cable. So basically the idea is you place these cameras all around every single entry point, and then you place this loudspeaker in every single place that has that the people you are trying to defend would spend their time in. So that could be like crew quarters or some kind of a canteen is the example I've given here. So that's kind of the idea. And when the security guard sees on their screen that the cameras have spotted an intruder, they press the button and it makes all of the loudspeakers go blah. So super simple setup, right? This is typically the kind of thing you would expect to have to deal with in a sci-fi setting, I would think. And so that tells me the outcomes or the possible results would be pretty simple, right? There would be 1, you manage to sneak in without getting spotted. 2, everyone is now aware that you're trying to sneak in. So that's one example here. Let's enshrine it in the code. Code flashbang. Being clear for how those things work can be very helpful. I kind of hate when it's vague, like in Shadowrun, what you can do with hacking. I haven't played Shadowrun. I've only like watched a couple videos about it, and that's it. The thing about Shadowrun is I don't know if they have a very bad like marketing, but every single review I've seen of it is people who have played it and are really in love with the setting saying that they really hate every single rule because it's way too crunchy. So there's definitely a bit of a communication problem here. So do they keep it vague? Because I kind of actually wanted to keep it vague for the gadgets, right? You have each component of the gadget tell you exactly how to use it, but then the way you use these signals is basically up to you. Let me actually get to the gadget rules just so I have an explanation of them in there somewhere. So this is the new gadget rules. They're much simpler than they used to be. So the way it works is a gadget is made up of a frame on which you can place different sensors and peripherals. So that's the 3 types of items that you need. You can use the use an object action, which is 5 AP, to add or remove components from a frame, even if it's someone else's gadget. So for example, let's say we are trying to get past this security system. A player could run up to the camera and unplug the cable. That's a thing they can do. They put out one book that keeps it extremely vague, and then a book for a specific topic that goes thesis levels in depth. Oh god. Every single opinion I've heard about Shadowrun is like this. I want to like it because I like the whole cyberpunk genre a lot. What is this stream about? A little context. Hello, welcome to the stream. So this is Flareful. It's a tabletop RPG system that I'm developing, basically. So it's a game set in the far future, except the sun has fried all of the technology on Earth, and well, most of the technology on Earth. So we've kind of regressed to anarchy and chaos. And today's stream specifically is about the gadgets, which are basically this very versatile system that I use to portray just the inventiveness of post-apocalyptic people. Right, the idea is when you are someone who lives in that type of world, you kind of just improvise solutions to every problem using whatever you can find. And yeah, that's the idea. So you have this thing. So every single gadget is made up of a frame with sensors and peripherals on it. The idea of sensors is that they create signals. So let's take one as an example. This is the camera. So it sends a complex signal which describes what the camera sees. And then there's another one here, which is the antenna. It receives it sends or receives any signal from any other antenna within line of sight. And then those signals, which can be simple, which is on or off, or complex, which should be things like audio, video, GPS, a number, that sort of stuff, are then consumed by the peripherals, which are these things. So that actually, that's another sensor. Where is a peripheral? I have a list down here. Yeah, so this is a peripheral, for example. This is a robot arm. So if you give it a complex signal, which is one of the types, if you give it instructions, which is one of the type of complex signals, then you can use this arm to manipulate an object within a 1 meter radius. That's basically the idea. Looks super interesting. Thank you! Haven't played around with the frames yet, but the vagueness of the components makes it very fun to mess around and see how you can make something. That's the goal. We'll see if I reach that goal, but yeah, the idea is the first and most important, in my eyes, goal of Flarefall. It's listed under core principles. It's problem solving. Right, that is what sci-fi and post-apocalyptic media is about, to me at least. It's problem solving. You have some kind of a situation on your hands and you have to solve it somehow, and it boils down to that tabletop RPG kind of mantra, which is create problems, not solutions, which I think might have been coined by the Alexandrian. I'm not really sure who originated this this saying, but yeah, it's kind of the idea that you don't really create a scenario, you just create problems, and then your players are in charge of creating the solutions. And the gadget system is here to give them ways to approach these problems in creative ways. Problem solving is my jam as a player in tabletop RPGs. I always play the problem solver role, like rogue or wizard or similar. Yeah, I'm a support main personally, but yeah, those are my favorite type of encounter as well. Okay, so let's rewrite this thing with a bit more structure. So this is the security system, so it's the first example encounter. We're gonna come up with a bunch more today, but let's get this first one just right first. So there's an intro, and then there's the actual gadgets, and then there's this thing I called Gadget Operation, which is basically explaining how the gadget works. So right now, the gadget works just as I've described. So you have a screen, which is linked to the camera, and you have a button, which is linked to a bunch of loudspeakers. If we want more structure to this, I guess a good start would be, what is the dramatic question? Or it could be a random table of locations, I guess, where you could find this type of setup. That could be interesting. And then, as we've discussed earlier, we kind of need the outcomes. We kind of need to spell out the outcomes. Possible outcomes. Is there a section of that is not very useful? I usually have to hold back in most games so I don't solve all the problems myself. I let the players have the spotlight too. Yeah, I feel you. The other day I was doing a play test actually of Vagabond by Taran Indestructible Bound. And it was this dungeon delve kind of thing where you get past 3 sets of statues and then there's 3 sets of checkboards on the ground, and everyone else was like, I wonder what the solution is. And I have a very focused brain, right? So I immediately went, okay, clearly there's a link here. But my character was dumb as bricks. So I had to restrain myself for like 10 minutes to just give them the solution, because I was like, my character is way too dumb to think about that. Let's see if you guys come up with something interesting. Otherwise, I'm just gonna spoil the entire thing. I'm just gonna get through it in like 3 seconds. But I'm sure you guys can come up with something cool. And they did for the first one, but then I ran out of patience, and I still decided to go, yeah, I'll find an excuse for my character to come up with the solution. Do I want a random table of locations? Because I've already got a bunch of random tables. Like, don't get me wrong, I like random tables. It's just I already have a bunch of them. I have them specifically on every single creature stat block. Every single creature has a bunch of adventure seeds giving you ideas of where to use that type of creature. Do I also need that for the obstacles, the non-combat encounters? Let's try. The worst that can happen is I try to build a table and then I don't come up with anything interesting. Adventure seed. My character is too stupid to come up with a solution. I find it frustrating. I don't have a good solution for this. Like, it's roleplay. We're supposed to be playing other people, right? Exploring these characters, etc. But sometimes, like, you let a bit of yourself just sleep in. Like, I will absolutely, if you give me an excuse as a player to make something blow up, like, regardless of how much of a pacifist my character is, I will take that opportunity, right? Every single time. It's just a rule. So, adventure seats for the most basic gadget of all time, the security system. Raiders. I don't want to tie it too much to the creatures, I think, because I already have a whole chapter dedicated to creatures. So what could be a cool adventure seat for this? Break into a raider's base, that's always a good one. Raiders have taken hostages. The party must sneak into their camp to free them. Otherwise, the hostages might get executed. That's a pretty high stakes one, right? A collector has a MacGuffin protected with it. That was my favorite Starfield side quest. I think it was a main quest actually. Which, granted, not exactly the highest bar of all time. Starfield has a lot of problems, but this one was pretty cool. Do we want it to be a collector? Because a collector immediately sells this very silly atmosphere. And the way... My approach to silliness is basically... The players will bring the silliness regardless of what I do, so I might as well make the world a bit serious, you know? Like, not too serious, but at least have some stakes in there. Raiders have taken hostages. I guess the party itself could have this security system. So another example could be they have spotted an intruder. So the alarms on the party's base have started ringing. Oh. They're looking for someone or something, so they must get to the security guard's room so that they have access to all of the cameras. That's a good one. And let's add a little twist to it, which is, like, let's say it's a government facility, and the security system has shut down because of the solar flare, which has fried all of the technology. So on top of getting to the security guard's room, now they must repair it. So the party can repair a broken security system to gain access to the network of security cameras linked to it. Mark said, while repairing their security system incorrectly, an NPC gets themselves into trouble. The party has to defend against any threat that might come. So one idea I had for this was basically maybe there's a new type of gadget that can hack cameras. Or maybe the player characters are given like some kind of a MacGuffin, some kind of a gadget where they unplug this camera and they plug a computer, and then the computer is feeding false information to the security guard. That could be pretty sick. Actually, no, that doesn't work, because here I am giving what the solution is. And the entire point of this is the players should be the ones figuring out a solution. So that's more something I think I should just keep in mind, like as a designer, that this is a possibility, but less so for the players, maybe. Maybe coordinate this system and some automated defense in a siege scenario. So I'm definitely going to have some kind of automated defense system. I think Fedmar, who is in chat actually, let me find, because I shared this gadget editor with my Discord server for a couple of days, just to get some feedback on the usability and whether or not the gadgets would lead to a good amount of creativity. And Fedmar, being an absolute mad person, immediately went for the most warlike option, which is, can I stick this on a car? So for context, these are weapon mounts, and there's 4 of them. This is a totally normal ask, and one I absolutely expect every single group of players to just ask their GM at least once. This is a feature, not a bug. So yeah, automated defense is definitely going to be a thing. But I think there's going to be a different entry in the book or in the encounter examples than the security system. It doesn't have to be manned by humans, is one aspect that could be worth exploring, because this is a setting with a bunch of robots, and a lot of them are kind of going haywire and not really doing what people want them to. So maybe, how would I have robots use this? Because this is definitely a system that is designed to be used by humans, at least, because of the button. Loop the signal, yeah. Oh, that could be an interesting one. The party has discovered that one of their cameras' signal was looping, but they don't know who did it, they don't know what was stolen, or they don't know why. Right? They must investigate the reason why the camera was looping. The party must investigate to determine who did it and why. Did they steal something? Plant a bug somewhere? Etc. So here I'm using this idea of the looping camera, except instead of giving the solution, that becomes the problem, right? And the players have to solve it. Players need to find a MacGuffin capable of scrambling the security systems. I guess that could be a slightly different take on this one, right? The party's enemies have a particularly well-designed security system. The party must come with a way to defeated. That kind of overlaps with the first one, I feel. I would need some kind of a different twist on this, a different angle. Maybe the security system have a periodic routine of changing their field of vision. That's a thing I didn't account for, actually. But I could, right? I could add a robot arm over here. And then the camera suddenly has the ability to point one way, point the other way. I'm thinking of like how Portal uses their security system stuff. They have some fun mechanics. They do. But Portal is more interested in giving you good puzzles than like diegetic puzzles, if that makes sense. Well, here's how we could get robots involved. It could be an automated version of this. The lab's security system is rigged so that if the cameras see anything, the lab will initiate a self-destruct sequence. That's a different one. That is not where I expected this sentence to end. Let's see if it looks silly with the robot arm. It would need to be in 1-1, I think. Yeah, there we go. It could work, it's just a robot arm is really expensive, so the players would be really likely to steal it. So I guess I would need to actually give the video camera itself the ability to turn. Yeah, let's do that actually. Pretty simply, it would just be this sensor also acts as a peripheral. If it receives a complex signal of type instructions, the camera can turn on its axis. What would be the right way to phrase this? Yeah, on its axis. I don't want gadgets to get too complicated, too crunchy in terms of rules, right? I don't want them to have like 3 paragraphs of rules, but I think 2 sentences is fine. It's getting up there. Like I'm already getting cutty, you know. I don't want these things to take more than a couple seconds to read. Oh, this one is too much. What is it? Biometric scanner. Yeah, I talked about this one on Discord and I couldn't figure out a good way to make it shorter. Let's not look at it, otherwise I'm getting cutty. Okay, just one more adventure seed, and I think we've got a good variety here. Because the raiders are kind of the obvious one, right? You have enemies and they have a security system. Go sneak past them. And even if I replace the raiders with robots, right? If triggering the security system means you get a bunch of robots activated, that still feels a bit too much of an overlap of sorts. No, I guess that's fine, because this one is about hostages. So let's make it a military compound system is designed to activate a bunch of security robots if the cameras see anyone. Should I add some kind of a flow in there, like someone not wearing a uniform or not presenting some kind of a badge? Yeah, because the cameras, they can give you information about what's moving, but they can also give you information about like the identities of those people or the things they're wearing. So if you have some kind of a brain running this or a computer, like you could get deeper than just basically a motion sensor, because a motion sensor is a separate gadget. Like we have a motion sensor in there, which is smaller actually, just because it does a lot less than an actual camera. So we have an adventure seed, which kind of takes the place of the dramatic question, right? Because here, what is the dramatic question? Whether or not the hostages get executed. And it kind of handles the outcomes as well, somehow. So I guess the random tables win again. They're kind of just doing everything you want them to. I guess I'm just doing random tables. Let's do random tables. Okay, let's do other security systems. So we have other gadgets, I mean. So we have this thing. Let's make another one. Let's go to the actual editor. So clearly the next on our list is going to involve some weapon mounts. Where's my weapon mount? Oh, here it is. I forgot that it was super broken on Firefox. I'll need to take a look at that off stream. Should I go as Hamas Fenma and just have 4 of them? Or let's have 4 of them. Along with probably a camera, I would say. Security camera. And then I think a computer just to control the actual weapon mounts, because the camera provides a video signal, but the weapon holder need an instruction signal, which means I need some kind of a computer, probably place it down here. I think I messed up the size of this thing. It's like the squares are not square, they're more rectangles. Oops. I'll fix that off stream later. Because here we have a bit of a situation where the squares are not lining up perfectly. We're just grinding my gears. So, should I add anything to this? We have screens. Oh, spotlights. That could be an idea. Let's place the cameras like here, and then a big spotlight at the top. Or maybe like this instead. Yeah, that makes sense to me. You want the computer to be like behind some cover so players can't shoot it immediately. Let's go with that. So let's translate all of this to my little code. Auto defenses. Let's call it that. And it would look like large frame with a computer in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a weapon mount in 0, 0. A weapon mount in 0, 1. A camera in 1, 2, 3, 0. A spotlight in 5, 0. And then 2 more weapon mounts in 7, 0 and 7, 1. If this works on the first try, then I am extremely lucky. Let's actually list this thing. Auto defenses. There we go. And it should show up down here. So it's tiny, and I got a lot of them wrong. So the computer might be computer terminal. Yep, so that's fixed this one. What is the weapon mount? Because apparently a weapon holder. That's what I named it. Okay, so it should be fixed now. Okay, we have the entire gadget. Is this the right size? Can I make it bigger? I kind of want to make it bigger. I'm gonna need to... Oh, sorry, I bumped the mic. I'm gonna need to figure out a way to include like some styling information in here somewhere. That's going to make things even more difficult than they already are. Oops. Well, That's going to be for off stream. Okay, so quick introduction to this. It doesn't need to be complicated, like this is just 2 lines. So automated defenses. First of all, they are highly unethical. Please don't actually put them on any real life buildings. But this is science fiction, so it's fine, I think. After the flare, manpower was at a premium. Protecting an entire camp. Or entire building. With just a handful of people. Is not feasible for most survivors. So people started resorting to automated defenses instead. Those can be dangerous as they don't often have the ability to differentiate between friend and foe. That's some world building right there. Random table. Oh, I should actually have this gadget operation section. So here we do have a way to create instructions, which means we can get the camera to turn. Probably don't need to go in as much detail as this. This is a pretty simple concept, right? It's camera, point at the thing, shoot. It really is that simple. So adventure seeds for these automated defenses now. First one. This feels like it's going to be pretty similar to that first random table somehow. Let's make it like a long abandoned camp. Sorry if you hear the dog going crazy in the background. He decided that this was scratching time, so I guess you're all enjoying it now. So a long abandoned survivor camp might hold some precious resources, but it is surrounded by automated defenses. How will the party get past them? Then another one. I think computers are pretty expensive. Let me check that, because if they're pretty expensive, that means they could be a quest objective. Did I make computers only tech 2? Yeah, I need to make them tech 3. So for context, the concept of tech level is basically any tech 1 item you can craft. You just need the resources. Tech 2 items, you actually need 1 feat or perk, as they're called here, in order to be able to craft them. And then tech 3 items, you need a second perk, which you can only get after, I think it's 4th level. So that's pretty significant. Oh, speaking of perks, could include some unique perks in here. Let's do the adventure seed first. Okay, so since computers are pretty expensive, one possible adventure seed would be, in order to complete their automated defense systems, the party needs to find a working computer. To find or craft a working computer. A recording from the camera is stored in some hardware built into the system that can't be removed. Oh, I like that. And it works, especially because like there is a computer on this thing. So if the data is stored somewhere, that's probably the location, right? Where would they find it? Like, maybe they were chasing someone or something. The party is interested in the recordings from this automated defenses camera. They're on the system's computer. I just need to get to it. That's a really good one. You could need a computer to decode a signal. I haven't thought too hard about how encryption decryption works right now. The only thing I have about it, if I recall correctly, is basically you have the regular antenna, so the radio antenna here. It says also counts as a peripheral, can send or receive any signal it receives to or from every single gadget within line of sight, which also has an antenna component. and it doesn't work within sunlight. Why? Because the entire premise of this setting is that the sun is basically a giant permanent EMP. So that's the regular antenna. That's how regular radio signals work. But then you could use a satellite antenna, which is like, oh, sorry, sneeze pose. So you could use a satellite antenna, which is like the level above that. And the first part is kind of the same. Also counts as a peripheral, can send or receive any signal it receives to or from another gadget instead of every single gadget within line of sight. So the idea is, here you don't choose who receives the signal. Every single gadget which could receive the signal gets the signal. Here you do choose. Only the one you decide to target actually receives it. So that's kind of how I'm handling encryption right now. It's basically through this system of targets. Could you change the target of a satellite antenna somehow? If you have physical access to it, sure. You could basically like unplug the satellite antenna and then replug it, but with a different orientation. I guess that's something I should add in the actual rules, right? It's who decides how the gadget works is basically the last person to have added or removed a component from it. Which right now is not written down in the actual rules, I don't think. So let's add that. Gadgets in combat. I think it needs to be an entire new subsection here. Hacking gadgets. The last creature to have added a component. No, that's not the way I want to word it. I think the way to word it would be more the creature who has added a component determines how this component interacts with the rest of the gadget. The wording on this is not great. Maybe there's some kind of gadget that can fool a satellite antenna to be its intended target, and you need a computer for it to work. Yeah, I do need to have some kind of a hacking, because right now it feels like it would be very GM dependent, right? Which A is more work for the GM, and B means if your GM is the fun police, you're not going to be having fun, which is not great. Because here's the thing, right? if I take this as an example, I don't want a player to be able to come to like this part of the gadget and just add a cable and suddenly they have control over the entire gadget. But if they replace this computer with their own computer, then yeah, I would want them to have control over this gadget, for sure. So it kind of depends on which component they're adding or removing, which is kind of weird to transform into actual rules. Well, I think I need to get through this this adventure seeds kind of table first. If your GM is the fun police, you are not having fun in general, no matter how the rules are written. There's some truth to that, sure. Hello, welcome to the stream. We're doing some non-combat encounters today for this little sci-fi tabletop RPG. And right now we're doing adventure seed for a gadget that looks like this. So yeah, a very peaceful non-combat encounter indeed. Party's interested in the recordings. What could be another interesting one? Maybe the owner of the computer determines its functions. What's it called? I've been wanting to play a sci-fi RPG. So it's called Flareful. You can find it online right now. It's free until it's in a state where I'm comfortable putting a price tag on it. Which means it's also not worth a price tag right now. I don't recommend running this thing at least for the next 6-ish months. Minimum, probably. Because yeah, this is very much a work in progress, but we're doing work. We're making it good. The premise of this is basically that the world has been not destroyed, but very much disturbed by a solar flare. So most of the technology has fried, and people are fighting over scraps, basically. They need to defend a position from enemies with this. Oh, maybe some kind of urgency, yeah. There is a broken down automated defense. Nearby. Enemies are coming. Can the party repair the defenses before they get here? What's the system? Do you mean like the dice resolution and all of that stuff? It's custom, but I will say it is very 5e like. It's like a d10 plus a bonus, so like it's the dice system and stuff, like it's not where I think most of the value for this is going to be. It's mostly in the world building and like the fact that every single stat block comes with a table of random encounters and then a loot table that you can roll on, and then 3 different sets of tactics to help you run this monster. Maybe defense towers of a base equipped with these defense systems, or a border. Oh, I like the idea of a border. This is definitely the cyberpunk fanboy in me speaking, but I like the idea that, yeah, this is the type of system you would use in places where you just don't have the manpower, right? So what's a place where you don't have the manpower to just constantly have people out there? Like, yeah, a border. The party wants to get past a border checkpoint, or what's a cool twist I could add to this? Into enemy territory. The border is unmanned and will shoot to kill. I guess a prison could also have these. Because, yeah, these are kind of the things you would expect to see in like a no man's land between the two Koreas. It's definitely a very ethical way to protect your turf. Use it as a trap inside a base to defend some valuables. Well, there's a thing I really like, which appears in a lot of sci-fi and post-apocalyptic media, which is that one arc or story where the protagonists get trapped in the old man's no man's land. You know, like in The Last of Us, for example, there's this old guy who builds a bunch of traps, and you kind of just stumble upon their turf by accident. Like, this guy is like a hermit or something. I don't know why, but it's in so many things. I think there's one in Borderlands. There might be one in Fallout. So that's always a fun one. And with that, I think we have the six adventure seeds. I like the repairing one, but I do something like when it comes online, they have to tell it who is friendly. Oops. Yeah, that could be a problem. Like, I'm probably not turning this into a 1d7 table, but that's a cool one, so I'm just gonna add it as a comment. The intern who installed the party's auto defenses forgot to add facial recognition. The party must turn it off and on again. This is peak sci-fi. What is the objective? Turning it on and off again. Okay, let's build a new gadget. Any inspiration here? These could be interesting in that the medium frame and the large frame you can put on an actual vehicle. So maybe the gadget could be related to vehicles specifically. But yeah, not all of the gadgets necessarily need some deadly stakes. The toy car, I have an idea for the toy car, but I feel like it would be more as part of a stat block for some kind of a scientist type enemy. Same for the drone, actually. Radio emitter, flashlight. Trying to look at the list of components just so I can see if I have any fancy ideas. How about some rigging to make yourself a hybrid boat out of a jeep? Something we can't really do with the system as it is now. Is that something I should add the possibility to do? Just gonna move myself over here, just so I don't hide the components. Oh, there is one peripheral I forgot to add, which I wanted to add, and then I forgot about 5 times in a row. Let's add it at the end of the list here. So quantity 1, name, prism holder. Or I guess Hardlight generator. That's a cooler name. Image. For now, I'm just gonna use the computer. I'm going to change it to an actual unique image later. This would cost quite a bit, I think. This would cost like 20 electronics. And 20 energy. And the idea for this is basically, so in this system you have these things called prisms. Let me see if I can find the list here. It's still very much a work in progress, but the idea is each prism can create a shape out of Hardlight, right? The tangible holograms. So for example, this panel, which could be like a publicity banner which just floats in the streets. Like, you can make a whole bunch of stuff with it. The problem is, they cost a lot of energy. But you can get creative. Like, that's kind of the second half of the creative problem solving options that exist in this little game. So you have the gadgets on one hand and you have the prisms on the other hand, but they don't need to be separate, because I could have a hardlight generator on a gadget. Just so I don't mess it up, I should already have an item called Hardlight Generator. Ah. It might get confusing if I have all of these projectors and then also the generator being a different object. But we'll see. Description. This peripheral can hold one prism I think that's the URL. No, just wool prisms. Okay. And up to 100. I'm just gonna copy paste this because there we go. And 100 units of energy. And then if it takes a complex signal, I guess that it could get a simple signal to just project the shape, and then a complex signal to project the shape in a different spot. So a simple signal, if you get a simple signal, use the prism and make the shape two meters in front of the generator. And if you get a complex signal, of type instructions, use the prism and create the shape anywhere within range. I think the shapes themselves have range. No, the shapes themselves don't have range, but you can place... They have a universal range, I think. Oh, they do have a range. Okay, so you create a rectangle within 5 meters of yourself. Okay. That works for me. The drone could be used for hacking some external systems without needing to be physically there. That could be the case, but is that an obstacle? Or is that something completely different? Or I should add to this that you can change, okay, while within 1 meter. Of the generator. You can take the use an object action to change the prism or refill the energy tank reserve. So it should have appeared at the very bottom of this page. There we go. Oh yeah, this thing is expensive. But having this new gadget probably allows us to create some new obstacles. But to understand which ones we could make, that would require thinking about how to use these. Is there a duration for this? Oh, duration 1 minute, okay. Because that is very expensive. That would mean in 20 minutes you would go through 100 points worth of energy. So if you use this to create some kind of a barrier or a force field, like this thing would need to only be on at the exact moment where you need it, right? You wouldn't leave it running most of the time. But yeah, let's create that gadget. So it's probably going to be a large frame as well. And then a hardlight generator. Let's place it at the top actually, just because it feels fancier that way. And then 2 spotlights, 1 on either side. A video camera and a computer terminal. Probably at the bottom, like here. So the idea is you would create a temporary force field all the way over here, basically. Yeah, let's go with that. Can I make it fit in a medium frame instead, or do I use the large frame again? Let's use the large frame again. So let's add this new encounter. Gadget, Hardlight, Gate. Need to actually save it. There we go. So we have a new entry. We just need to have it have information in it. So first a quick description of the actual gadget. So it's a large frame. Then you have two spotlights. One in 00, the other I think in 70. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0. Then you have a Hardlight generator in 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. A video camera next to it, so it should be 6, 1. And then a computer. So in 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 4. And just like this, this thing should appear on this page, except it doesn't, because I messed up. What did I do? What did I break? Oh, I broke this. The fact that it resulted in an error is a bit of a problem. I'm gonna have to fix that eventually. But yeah, we have the gadget here. I only have this one right now, which is like a compound gadget with multiple interacting systems. I kind of want more of them. We're gonna have to do that after this one. So in the age of fusion, security gates made of Hardlight were commonplace. After the flare, most of them don't work anymore, which made life very easy for the raiders. And those that do work consume so much energy that they can only be used for a couple minutes at a time. So how does this gadget work? Gadget operation. when the camera spots an intruder, the computer will tell the Hardlight generator to create a Hardlight panel, and I'm gonna need a link here. What's the link to the actual panel? Is this thing? Covering the entrance. That's kind of the idea here, right? It's a pretty simple gadget as well. But I like it because of the potential adventures with this. So for example, one adventure seat for this would be raiders are attacking. The party doesn't have enough energy to repel them or deter them. Yeah, deter them. To close the gate. Number 2. I guess it doesn't have to be working necessarily. The mall's security gate should have still has some energy. The party could take that energy for themselves, but they would need a way to circumvent the gate, because otherwise the gate is just going to appear and waste the energy they're trying to get. That's kind of what I'm trying to say here, except in less than 3 sentences if possible. That would be better. So an abandoned mall has a functioning Hardlight gate. If the party can circumvent it, they could siphon that's kind of the idea, I guess. I guess I should also add a thing that says the portal is protecting the rest of the components. Just to add some difficulty to this, so it's not just, okay, I'll just shoot the camera and then it can't do anything anymore. So yeah, the panel covers every component on this gadget, preventing them from being attacked, but only from one side. That's kind of a necessary complication to make this more interesting for the players to interact with, I think. Third adventure seed. We're kind of exhausting all of the security measures adventure seed right now, because the 3 gadgets we have are all about this, like preventing people from going in. Oops. Adventure seed for a holographic gate. I guess it could be something simple. The prism on the Raiders gate. Because here's the thing about Hardlight constructs. Especially for the panels, they don't necessarily have to be just blank rectangles. One example I give is like, you could have a panel that's just an advertising board. So it could say like, Bextech Hardlight Nanoblade, subatomic shaving technology for the post-atomic man. Like, it's kind of the silly part of this. So maybe they have a prism which shows they have some knowledge that is really hard to get or something. And turn this adventure seed into an investigation. Has some strange patterns. So the party must investigate. find out where that prison was found, because more riches might still exist there. Oops, small typo. Why is my eye closed? There we go. Need 3 more adventure seeds. What's a cool adventure seed for a gate? It's kind of a silly question, right? A gate is usually part of a bigger encounter. I feel like I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot with this. Like the first 6 were easy enough to come up with. The next 6, it got a bit harder to come up with something interesting and original. Now I'm really racking my brain. Let's look at my monsters. Maybe that will give me an idea. I don't have a lot of them yet, so let's instead look at the perk trees. Dock. So what could a gate be used for in a hospital specifically? Oh, a hospital was using one of these gates to like quarantine a bunch of patients. So if the gate ever runs out of energy, then the sickness will get out. Let's look at another one. Gambler. What could a casino... Casino? Oh god, English is difficult. Casino. Yeah, this way. What could a casino use a Hardlight gate for that could be interesting? Nope, not coming up with anything for a casino. What other random tables do I have? I have a random table of backgrounds with a very long formula for the age. This makes sense if you don't look at it hard enough. That's names, that's jobs. Let's look at a random job. 22. Con artist. I don't have much for a con artist. Much use for a gate with a con artist. 56. Postman. Postmen generally tend to move around a lot, so gates, not exactly something I would associate with them. 63. butcher. Oh, maybe the gate could be used to sort animals in one way or another. Like, I have butcher right now, but it could be like a zoo instead. Or like pest control. They could also maybe use a Hardlight gate. Because there's been a bunch of earthquakes in the setting. Because the sun messed with the Earth magnetic sphere and a bunch of other technobabble, like, sciencey nonsense. Long story short, earthquakes. So maybe, like, they could use one of these panels to plug a hole in the wall. Prize money for a specific match people are betting on. What do you mean? I'm curious. The Hardlight would show off the prize but keep it safe from theft. Oh, that's for the casino then, yeah. So like a bank or something? A bank, no C in here, was using Hardlight to protect its treasury. It should, in theory, have run out of energy. So their goods. So the party could take everything in the vault. Something like that. I don't know. Famous gates from video games. Let's make this the sixth one, because I'm not super happy with this, because this is technically called the where is it? The obstacle chapter. So if the obstacle doesn't work anymore, it's not an obstacle. It's just a plot hook. Which is fine, like, we need plot hooks, but I don't know if this is the right way to use them. Oh, I just realized why there was these stripes. I was asking myself, why do I have stripes on every single one of these? Because this is using a table, and yeah, tables in this component happen to have stripes. So that's one more thing I'm gonna need to fix later. Okay, let's leave the gate for now. I don't think I'm going to figure out how it works. I want to find a non-security related gadget idea. So let's get back to the editor. Actually, I'm gonna take a quick break. Just 5 minutes. Get some air into my brain. And then I'll get back in just a couple minutes. So yeah, see you in a few. Welcome back. Okay, so let's try to come up with some fun gadgets. We have screens, we have a light, we have a loudspeaker. The loudspeaker can also be used to play some audio. Is there a way we could make that interesting? Make use of this somehow? Oh, this is old. I need to update this description because this is not up to date. We don't have bonuses to hit anymore. Not in this system. I just realized. Let's actually make this a list as well. There we go. That's better. I need to update so many of these. What? There we go. Weapon holder, computer screen. Maybe we could use screens as a way to communicate, I suppose. Like send light signals between two faraway locations, kind of thing. I feel I need more peripherals. Like, the amount of things I can do with gadgets right now is not exactly where I would want them to be. They're definitely a good tool for the players, I think. I'm gonna need to actually playtest this, of course, but it's giving me the feeling like, at least as a player, I would have a lot of uses for this. But as a static kind of thing, I guess I don't need to make them static. I have toy cars, I have drones. Let's try to build something silly and see where it goes. So we have this, we have an antenna. And then we have two spots for something else, maybe. Yeah, flashlight. That's good. Probably unnecessary, actually. Just this. Let's go with a scouting kind of a encounter. Actually, I could make this with a drone. It doesn't fit. I can't fit an antenna and... Oh. So let's try to work past this limit, actually. We're gonna use a flashlight. We definitely need a camera, that's for sure. If this is some kind of a scouting thing, we definitely gonna need a camera. But then how does it communicate the signal with other gadgets? Because there's no space for an antenna here. Because an antenna is that big. So there's no way to fit both of these. Even less if I try to use a satellite antenna. I guess I have a separate type of camera, which is the thermal imaging camera, but that doesn't help. Unfortunately, that's still too many K. Yeah, I still can't use this. What do we do? Guess I could have a cable to a toy car on the ground. It's kind of silly that this thing doesn't have enough space for an antenna. Because drones, they do have antennas. Like, by definition, that's how you control them. Yeah, if I put an antenna on this, the only thing I can use at all is like a flashlight. Not great. How do I change the drone then? Maybe I make it bigger? That feels way too big. That feels like way more than a drone should be able to carry. Maybe like this? Because here I do have space to actually get creative with this. I could have a camera. What would be a cool pattern? It used to be 3x3. Let's turn it back to 3x3. Definitely want the middle part to have some space. Let's make it 5x5 just to see if I can come up with a cool thing here. Turn off every single square. And then basically 3 like this and 5 like this. So you could do something like this, for example. Oh god, Firefox. And still have an antenna. Maybe even a couple extra things. Probably not much though. It would be sick to have a biometric scanner on the drone, and right now that's not possible. Oh, here's a cool gadget right there. You just have a drone with an antenna and a cable. And the idea would be, oh, maybe I could put like a robot arm. That would be sick. With a toy car, that would work actually. I don't have enough space on the toy car. Because the idea would be, you use the robot arm to plug and unplug the cable, so you can plug into enemy gadgets. That could be sick. Don't want to make it like this because that's already the shape of the small frame. So if I make it a 3x3, then the drone is just better than the small frame on every single angle. I kind of have a solution for this, like a half solution for this, which is I could create some perks allowing players to add new spaces to a frame. That's definitely the kind of perks that would make players go crazy. Or at least a certain kind of player, specifically me. But that doesn't really help for gadgets that I want to show to a game master. The weird thing is, this thing needs complex instructions to function. Oh, there's another solution I could use. Is to make it so the frame isn't just the drone, it's the drone and its remote. So let's see if I can. Oh, I probably shouldn't use Pixabay on stream. There's some, like, there's a NSFW filter, but it's not super reliable. So radio, no, remote control. And let's try to find one which is not too copyrighted. Which is strangely more difficult than I thought it would be. Or I guess I could change the image of the drone to something like this instead, like a side view. Let's try that. Try to see if it makes any difference, and maybe I can come up with a cooler shape, a more usable shape at least. It's over here. Gadgets. Drone. I'm actually going to need to process this just a bit. I'm bringing you way behind the curtain here. You're gonna see the sausage being made. Center this. Make it a bit smaller. Get rid of that. Expand the boundary. Detect edges. That did not work as well as I thought it would. Now it should. There we go. Select all of the edges. It didn't get all of them. That should be... No, it's not good enough yet. Let's go with that, sure. Select grow. Oh, that's not great. Let's find a better drone. Drone. That's a straight up UFO. This is not the kind of drone I'm looking for. Well, this one might be good. Sorry. The image is a bit bigger. I'm gonna need to do this twice. Actually, just once was probably more than enough. Oh, that's almost good enough to use. Just need to remove this part. Same over here. And then this part I'm just going to remove some of the outlines because it's a bit too much. So probably something like this. Yeah, that's a good drone. Then I just need to think about the image size. What I'm thinking is 3x3, where I would have just enough space for an antenna, because this thing is always going to have an antenna, let's be real. And then 3 at the bottom. So something like this. Doesn't need to be completely centered, but like this should be fine. Gadget. Okay. We have a second image for the drone. Let's actually plug it in. Here. Oh, did I make it a WebP? I think I forgot. And the entire bottom row would be like this. I think that makes a... It would almost be good. Except for the jokes. Which are... a bit unavoidable with this. It was almost good. Almost. Because if I go to the... Where's my gadget editor? Give me my gadget. If I go to this, now I do have the spot for this and the spot for this. Even got a flashlight. Should I go with that? Not super happy with it yet, but let's go with that for now. So the description for this would be drone with an antenna in 10 and a video camera in 12. Yeah, that looks correct. I just need to actually add it here. It's not a drone. It's a drone. I got the antenna wrong. And that's fixed. So a small description of the drone. Now, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this because of one simple reason, which is every drone should basically have an antenna and a video camera built in. Like by default. That's just how these things work. Don't have a good solution here. Because if I say the drone also has... Right, where's the drone rules? Yeah, here. So right now it says you can deploy or retrieve this frame with the use of an object action. Then it acts as a peripheral. You can control its movement by sending it signals. But that means the signal must come from somewhere here. Which is bad. Where's my drone? My regular drone. There he is. So right now it's 1024 by 1024. If I add 2 squares to the left, so 1024 times 5 divided by 3, it doesn't fall exactly. Cool. 1020 times 5 divided by 3. Okay, that's better. So 1700 and then 1020. And it should be the right aspect ratio at least. I'm just gonna plug a separate part of the gadget, which is the remote control here. Let me find a remote control. So Pixabay doesn't really have any good remote control that I can see. So I'm just gonna have to use some elbow grease and make my own. I guess I could use this as a base. and basically say this is a joystick, and oops, I'm in front of it, and then this is maybe a screen or something. I don't know. We'll stick that over here. Like this. Then we do the little edge trick. Then this thing needs a background. And then a bit of cleanup. Wrong layer. A bit of cleanup. I don't know what this is supposed to represent, but yeah, we're getting rid of it. When I started these streams, I said they would be about seeing the sausage being made, and I guess you're seeing some sausage being made right now, because this is my life right now. It's just editing stuff in GIMP. This should be clean-ish, except for these two parts, which were a bit too small. Also gotta get rid of this. Ugh. This is also not a proper circle, which is gonna grind my gears. Okay, that's almost good enough. That button can stay. I'm just gonna add more buttons here from another source. So controller, and I'm just gonna whoop. Yeah, let's use that. Okay. Copy image. Paste this here. Like this. Then I only need this part. And from this part, I actually only need this color. Threshold was a bit too high here. This should be good enough. we go. Probably don't need this. We don't need that. That looks remote control-ish to me. So let's use that. Drone 3. And if I go back to the drone definition, I'm just gonna add. Sorry for the dog being annoying. We're back to that old drone. So that was the old drone schema, basically. I'm just gonna add this in front of it, basically. There we go. So now it looks like this, but I can put some squares over here. I'm almost happy with this. I think I just need to make the remote control a bit smaller and just, yeah, a bit further to the left. I also don't like the fact that this has 2 lines. I'm just gonna... Oh, I'm in eraser mode. There we go. And we are good. Yeah, just like this. I might need to change this a bit as a result. I'm curious, what does this look like now? Oh, this looks like a mess. Beautiful mess. If I just fix this, so that would be like doing this. 1, 2, 3, I think. Nope. Almost. react, what you're doing. There we go. So that can work. I'm still not happy with it though. Ah. There's definitely potential for the drone. It's just I don't exactly know what to do with it. Like how to set it up exactly. I have 3 versions of this and I'm still not happy with any of them. Yeah, this feels like something I need to sleep on. And my dog is getting antsy and wants to go outside, so I think this is a good place as any to just put the stream on hold, and then I'll think about this in the background, because at the very least I've got a lot to think about. But yeah, thank you for hanging out. If you have hung out for these past 3-ish hours. Just gonna go back here for a sec. I'm not sure what will be the next stream, what the next stream will be about. It might be about just coming up with more creatures. But this system is getting to a point where I think there's enough building blocks that I might start hiring people to actually help me on this, especially in the parts which are not my specialty, like art, as you can tell, and the world building. So one thing I've been thinking of doing, we'll see if I'm already ready to do this next stream, probably not. It's probably some kind of a collab stream with someone else, but we'll see. Until then, yeah, thank you for hanging out and have a good one.